A little while ago, I did a commentary video on my channel about commentary. And since you seem to not hate it, I even had this funny back and forth on Twitter with the Welsh brothers because I featured James in my thumbnail. And even they were encouraging me to do another video like this, so blame them. If you hate this, blame them. Go after them, not me. I didn't do anything, okay? But I did have a half-done script of another commentary that I wanted to do, so that's what we're doing today. And what I want to discuss today is UGC, which is user-generated content. Really hard to say when English is not your first language. And I've been having this half-done script for a really long time, but after the situation escalated on TikTok between Manny MUA, big influencer, also owns a big indie brand called Lunar Beauty, and well, I was gonna say micro influencer, but it is technically, like she says herself, a nano influencer. I thought that let me just dust off that script and finish it up, and we can talk about UGC and whether or not this is going to be the savior or the destruction of online content creators. I am going to get ready just as I did in my last video. If you're interested in anything that I'm using on my face, I'm not going to be talking about it, but I will link it down in my description box, and all of my links are affiliated. So if you do shop through my links, I do earn a small commission, and if you do, thank you so much for supporting my channel. So let's start at the very beginning. What is UGC? I came across this term, I want to say about a year ago, and I had not heard it before. And UGC, like I said, stands for user-generated content, which when you first hear it, you might think, so what's the difference between that and sponsored content? And sponsored content, and this is a big misconception that I see as well about UGC, is that with sponsored content, you are paying for the reach of the creator, the reach of the influencer. That's what you're paying for, and the reach comes at a much higher price point than the actual like labor or the work or the pictures or the videos itself. Hence, paying for UGC versus paying for a sponsored content, especially by someone that has more followers, is usually more costly to pay for sponsored content. And with UGC that I'm going to talk about today, I am going to draw from the business that I am in, which is the beauty business, but of course this goes for any kind of creator industry out there. I mean, UGC has been so common for so many years throughout like news covering. You've probably seen it on like different kind of news websites where they're like paying you, like, do you have a picture of this event? We will pay you $20 if you send in a picture that we use. That's also UGC. That is news asking for people who are not photographers and not influencers to give them pictures of events that are going on. So a big misconception that I see when it comes to UGC and like creators is that sometimes you don't really understand that dynamic between paying for reach and paying, well, for not reach. Because if a UGC creator doesn't necessarily get tagged in the posts. It might be that a brand is reaching out to someone whose pictures they really enjoy and ask them, are you willing to do these kind of pictures but with our products, and we will pay you? And since they're not paying for your reach, they don't care how many followers you have, they're just asking for the kind of pictures or the kind of content that you're producing, they will pay you way less than they would if you had a bigger reach. Of course, if you don't have a reach, there's nothing to pay for, hence why micro and nano influencers usually don't get any sponsored content because they don't really have a reach to pay for. And with that being said, it doesn't mean that if you have 10,000 followers that you wouldn't be able to sell products, but usually the reach does matter when it comes to things like that. And I think technically the term micro-influencer is up until 10,000 followers on any platform, and nano-influencers is up until 5,000 followers on a platform. This doesn't really count TikTok though, because I've heard this before, and correct me if I'm wrong, but 1 million followers on TikTok is about worth as much as 100,000 followers on YouTube, because it is much easier to get a following on TikTok than it is to get a following on YouTube. And it's also because the amount of views you get on YouTube converts more to sales than it does on TikTok. Does that still hold true today? Honestly, I don't know about that. Does this mean anything? I don't know, but I'm just throwing it out there. So for a micro and a nano influencer, it could make sense to do UGC because they might think that that is the best way to make a little extra income as like a side hustle. If you're trying to make a little extra income with your online journey, which not everyone is, but one of the things that I have noticed that is the biggest difference on how we talk about money, how we talk about like online creators today versus when I got on YouTube, which is almost a decade ago, which is crazy bananas when I think about it, is that a lot of people now think of it as a valid career choice, as a way that they could go into actually making some more money and getting a side hustle. And a lot of people will start their journey maybe not necessarily because they're super passionate about something and want to share that with the world and build an audience. Some people will start it because they're looking for a side hustle and they're looking for a way to make some extra money. Is that bad? I don't necessarily think so. Not everybody wants to be big on social media. And with that being said, I'm not even big on social media, but I definitely have worked really hard to get to where I am right now. And my focus has always been on the content itself and not necessarily about like making money, even though it is my career now. And of course I do have to be able to pay my bills. My focus has always been about like the views and how to reach out to people and are like people liking what I'm doing and stuff like that, connecting with my audience. And again, I'm not trying to paint myself out as some kind of a savior out here, that I'm better than anyone else. I'm just saying that there are different paths to being a creator on social media today than it was even before I got on social media. A lot of brands have caught on to the fact that there are micro and nano influencers out there that are just looking for this to be a side hustle, or even looking just to get free products. Again, I have nothing against this. If that is the reason why you're doing content and you're succeeding in it, I am so happy for you for being able to reach your goals. Most people don't reach their goals on social media. So if you are, kudos, like you are out here doing what you're supposed to be doing. But posting content in exchange for a review is also a form of UGC content. They are looking for you to do a review or to do a post or to spread the word about the product without having to pay you in money. But if they're paying you in a product saying, we will send you this product in exchange for a review, that is your payment. And you have to mark that as a sponsored post. I see almost every UGC creator that I see out there, because I see a lot of them, and also I own my own beauty brand, so I also do get a lot of mails, a lot of mails from UGC creators asking to work with my brand, and all of them are breaking FTC guidelines on how to mark your posts. If you got something sent by influencers or Octoly or a brand in exchange for a review, in exchange for a post, you have to mark that as a sponsored post. You have to do hashtag ad, and you have to pay taxes on the product that they send to you. You have to put that on your taxes. This is the reason why creators that maybe are a little bit more seasoned or maybe have gotten a little longer, like further in their journey online, just do not do those things. Because I'm not paying money out of my pocket to do a sponsored post about a mascara for a brand. No. That's not what we're doing here. That is definitely one of the ways that like brands take advantage of you. And if you're a UGC creator and you do stuff in exchange for free products, don't be breaking FTC guidelines. I am sure they're gonna break down on influencers in the US the way that they have broken down on influencers in the EU. They're coming for all of us. Okay, let me get a lippy on and we can talk about the situation between Manny MUA and Gaby, a nano influencer that happened over on TikTok. So I think that if you're in the beauty community, you know who Manny MUA is. He is one of, not the OG beauty community like peeps, but definitely one of the big ones from the 2015, 16, 17 eras. He has his own beauty brand that is called Lunar Beauty, which is an indie brand. And it's definitely not a super teeny indie brand, but it's also not like L'Oreal. And since he is as big as he is, for him, UGC is just not something that's ever gonna happen. He would never want to create something for a brand and get paid a rate only for the work and not for his reach because of his reach. And the other person in this little conflict that they had, and I think they solved it, and honestly, I think that like, this is how it is with like drama that happens sometimes in the whole like internet sphere, just gets blown out of proportion way too quickly and way too often, to be honest. But also both of them did do response is on TikTok, so I mean, I guess they have themselves to blame if we're gonna be totally honest. Keep trying this like bronzer from REM, but I'm not 100% sure if I like love it. And this is not a jab to any of these people. I don't necessarily know any of them. I do talk to Manny sometimes behind the scenes, but we are not friends. Like, I don't know Manny. We are like acquaintances. I do get PR from Lunar Beauty. I do have a code with Lunar Beauty, but I don't have a specific bias towards Lunar Beauty or Manny, and I don't know Gaby whatsoever. So what happened is that Gaby created content using a Lunar Beauty product. She tagged Lunar Beauty and they reposted her post, and they didn't ask her for permission and she didn't like it. Again, that's fully understandable. Again, like I said, I do have a beauty brand and I have someone who helps me with social media. And one of the things that I told her is that you always have to ask people for permission, even when you think that it's like, it makes sense that they would agree with it. Always ask for permission, because not everybody wants to be shared, even if they are tagging the brand. And some people actually don't want to be shared at all without getting compensated, which is with everyone's right. And even though that's necessarily not how social media worked when I started social media, or when Manny was like growing to be a big influencer, social media is different today, so I don't blame anyone at all for not wanting to be shared. And I can see where everyone was coming from in this situation, because I totally agree with Gaby. They definitely should have asked her for permission. And the fact that they didn't ask her for permission, just shared it, made the post shoppable, which I think is the biggest one. I do not let brands make my pictures that they share for me shoppable. That to me is a sponsored post. I don't like when they do that. And if you see that brands are making your pictures shoppable, I would bring that up with brands, because I don't think that that's fair. That's like another step. That's something else. And when Gaby contacted the social media of Lunar Beauty, asking them why they didn't ask her and saying that she wasn't happy with them sharing her picture without asking, they didn't get back to her and they left her in red, which is also not okay. And I also see where Manny is coming from, because he came up in this industry when everybody wanted to be shared and it was a really big thing to be shared. And this is where I disagree with Gaby, because she said that like getting shared and exposure doesn't bring you anything. I do disagree with that, because I have friends that when being shared by brands, and even me, sometimes I get shared by brands and they use my pictures, and then eventually I get on the PR list, and eventually maybe I'll get an affiliate code, and that could lead to a sponsorship. That has happened to me within this day and age, and even when I was a smaller creator, and two friends of mine who are way smaller creators than me. And one might say that that doesn't happen today, but it definitely does happen today. And just because it doesn't happen to every nano and micro influencer doesn't mean that it doesn't happen to some of them. So I do think that sometimes it's very easy to say, oh, that never happened to me or anyone I know, so it doesn't work like that anymore. No, it definitely still works like that. But I do see where Gaby is coming from, where it's like, exposure isn't everything. And it also comes back to the point where I said before, like, not everybody wants to be a big influencer. That might not be the reason why they come into it. Because like I said, a lot of creators right now, they will even brand themselves in their Instagram bios or in the TikTok bios as UGC creators. And you can almost guarantee that they are not looking to be reposted without you paying them. I think that one thing that we forget is that back in the days, in 2015, 16, 17, if you got shared by a big brand, that could be your ticket to being big, to getting a lot of followers. But today there are so many more creators that the whole field has just become oversaturated, and it's not as easy to break through and become a bigger creator as it was back then, because the pool to choose from was way smaller. And even me, who was in that pool 2015, 16, 17, I never grew up to be a big influencer, but I will say I still, when brands share me, get hundreds of followers on my social medias. But today I will say the best way to gain followers is of course like to make really good content and like maybe get a viral video, but content creators sharing other content creators means a lot more today than brands sharing other like content creators. With that being said, it still works like that. There are just so many more creators. And again, just because we don't know someone that hasn't gone big the past couple of years doesn't mean that it doesn't happen. But the amount of people that come from from nowhere and become big, there's still basically as many as there were back in the day. There's just so many more influencers to choose from. So there's definitely still a chance for everyone, but the chance of being that next big thing just slimmed down significantly because of the sheer amount of people that want to be on top. But I know several people that have been put on PR lists after being shared by brands, and I know several people that have not been put on PR lists after being shared by brands. I know people who have gotten, people that are way smaller than me, that have gotten sponsored content from a brand seeing what they've been doing for another brand, saying, can you do this for our brand, we will pay you. I see that. Like, I put people on my PR list for my brand that I saw sharing really cute pictures of like my products, and I was like, hey, I would like to send you stuff in the future. These things still happen, but there are just so many more creators now. And I do get asked quite a lot from smaller creators, how do I monetize my social media? How do I make this my living? And it is from people that have hundreds, sometimes just a couple of thousands of subscribers. And if you want to grow, if you want to be bigger so that you get paid for your reach and not just your work, you have to focus more on growing your online presence and growing your personal brand than making money when you are a nano and micro influencer. And that's not what people want to hear. But again, some people don't want to be a creator. They don't want to be internet famous or get a lot of viewers. They just want to make a little bit of side hustle. And if so, being a UGC creator might be the way to go. But I'm going to tell you right now, if you want to grow, if you want to be an online creator with a bigger audience, doing that while creating a full feed with UGC content that just looks like sponsored content, that's probably not gonna help you grow. I see so many, like, I come across so many like that. I never subscribe to them because there's no personality. There's only these posts that were, I got this in exchange for a post, I got this in exchange for a post, or these pictures that are showing product shots of different kind of products that they either bought or got sent as PR from like Octoly or Influencer, and the wording is as if it was a sponsored post, because as a UGC creator, that's what they're hoping to get in the future. But it doesn't really lure in followers like that, unless the followers are also UGC creators. So my answer is always, when people ask me, how do I monetize my social media? It is to focus less on how to make money in the beginning and more how to grow your brand. Everything will come organically with that in the future, but it all depends on what the reason is. Do you hope to just make a couple of extra dollars, maybe a couple of extra $100 a month, if even that, is a UGC creator? But that's getting pretty oversaturated too. Then don't listen to any of my advice. But if you are hoping to maybe like make this your job, I would say focus less on the money in the beginning. It has to be a little bit of a passion project in the beginning. So you might think that like I'm making this video and I'm seeing this very negatively. I try not to. I try to look at this in like a perspective as like a little bit non-biased, but it's hard because I see so much as a brand owner as well when it comes to UGC. And I want to be like, so who's actually making money with UGC? Because as with creators, not every creator is making money. And I don't think that everyone that's trying to make it in UGC is actually going to make this a viable income. It is extremely oversaturated. And like I said, as a brand owner, I do get quite a few mails from creators asking me, I will do pictures with your brand in exchange for X amount of money. And some of them are asking for quite a lot of money, to the point where I'm like, I could just hire a photographer. Because that's what you are competing with as a UGC artist. You are not competing with influencers, you're not competing with your reach, you're competing with your quality. So if you are not good at photography, if you are not good at making stuff that looks well produced and could actually make the product look good, why should they hire you and not like a professional photographer? Especially when the prices are starting to creep up there. And like I said, I do get some content from some UGC creators that is, and I don't want to be mean, but really bad quality. Like really bad quality pictures that I myself could take better pictures. And I think that's also like, if you're gonna make it in UGC, you need to take better pictures than the brand could themselves and charge less than a professional photographer. You can't, like, what are you gonna be like? What is gonna be your edge? Why should a brand hire you for something they could do themselves for free? Or why should they hire you to make really good quality products when they could just hire a professional photographer? And I think these are the questions that a lot of UGC creators that want to be UGC creators have not asked themselves. And I think also, if you want to be a creator, this is something you should probably ask yourself. Why should someone choose you, follow you, watch you, click on your videos, buy your pictures over any of the other that's online? And I think this is the question that a lot of people forget to ask themselves, because you need to be taking really high quality things if you're going to be charging for them for a brand. When they are not paying for your reach, they're paying for the quality of work that you're producing. I would say the people that are actually making the most money in UGC are the people that are doing the courses in UGC. As with every new area, there is always going to be someone that's going to try and sell you a course in how to be a UGC creator. Oh, I have made this much money the past couple of months doing UGC. Doing UGC or selling courses in doing UGC? These are the questions you need to ask yourself. Did they make that money actually selling UGC pictures, or did they make that money selling the course to you? If you search for UGC on TikTok, there are so many creators trying to teach you how to be a UGC creator, and that's their income. Their income is to be the teacher. And it was the same when cryptocurrency came. Everybody was trying to teach you how to make money. And it's like, well, if you're making all this money, why are you taking the time to do these crappy courses? If you're out here making so much money, and it's because they're making the money through the courses and not through actually doing the thing. So why are you trying to learn something from someone who's not even having that as a profession themselves most of the time? Not all the time, of course. So be wary when you see all of these like courses, because usually if they're charging you for a course on how to do a thing, their market model is not doing the thing, it's selling how to do the thing to you. Okay? And of course there are exceptions. There is always exceptions. There are people out there that are most probably making a living right now doing UGC, or are making those extra couple of $100s each month, thinking that it's definitely worth it. But the market is going to get very oversaturated, and not every brand is looking for a UGC creator. My brand is not at this point. I will say, if nobody wanted their pictures to get shared by me in my brand, if everybody said no, we want to get paid, I would start producing my own pictures instead, because like I can do that. I would feel more confident then to do my own pictures and have full control over that than at this point, because I'm a small brand. And I think a lot of brands probably would be the same. They would probably hire someone in-house to do the content for them, rather than paying a couple of $100s here, a couple of $100s here. I might be wrong, but this is me speculating. I remember when I started out on social media, nothing made me more happy than when brands shared my pictures, for me to be like, oh, they like what I do. That's so nice. I am on the right track. And again, yeah, exposure doesn't pay the bills, But every contact I have ever gotten in this business, everyone I have ever gotten to know, every brand I have ever gotten PR from, an affiliate code with, anything like that, especially when I started out, it started with them seeing my work online. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you immediately get PR. PR is so much more expensive than people know. I have a very small PR list because PR is not free. It takes a lot of money to produce PR and to send it out and to organize everything. And it is not just a free product that people think costs a couple of cents. That is not how that works at all. And I do wish that people would stop seeing PR as something that's just doesn't mean anything to a brand. It definitely means something. But I think that we are right now living in a time where being a UGC creator is being marketed as being easier than being a creator. And I don't know if that's necessarily true. Not everyone can be a successful creator, but not everyone can be a successful UGC creator either. A lot of people that do UGC will probably never get paid for their pictures. They might get some products sent to them for free, but like I said, you need to pay taxes on that. So you might end up having to pay out of your own pocket to be a UGC creator. And for some people that is worth it because again, not everybody can be a big creator, but you don't have to be a big creator to make an income. You can be a full-time creator and make an income with much less subscribers than what I have, with much less views than what I have if you're being smart with your online presence. So I do hope that before people go too far into this UGC, they start to think about, is this actually what I want and how much will it cost me to get all these products sent to me that I have to pay taxes for. So in that sense, being a UGC creator, like a up and coming UGC creator and an up and coming creator, it's very much alike. Anyone can start and anyone can become successful and make money. It's just that not everyone does. In the next part of this video, I would like to discuss what I would call potential problems with UGC content and with being a UGC creator. And the one thing that I would like to take up first, which ties back to one of the things that I said before, is a lot of people describe this as being very authentic, but I would kind of almost argue the opposite, because just as with influencers, there are UGC managements and different hubs where brands will reach out to these hubs and say, hey, we have this deodorant. I don't know how this works. I will say I'm not part of these myself. We have this deodorant that we need pictures for. Can you look if any of your creators is open or to be doing some pictures of this deodorant? And they will put it on the hub and some people will be like, yeah, I'll do some pictures of this deodorant. And the brand will get a lot of user-created content, not necessarily from influencers with a big reach, but just from people that create cute pictures. Another way to do UGC content is what I mentioned before, is that people will share pictures that brands can find and be like, oh, that's a cute picture. I want that exact picture of my deodorant or that exact clip of my deodorant. Can we purchase the rights from you to use that one either in ads or in our feed or in whatever, honestly? But neither of that is authentic, because in both cases, that content was created for the sole purpose to be attractive to brands. UGC can almost only be authentic if a brand buys something that was created more by accident. The person accidentally created something that the brand is interested in using. They didn't do it with the sole purpose to hope to be attractive so that the brand would want to pay for it. I don't know if I consider that being authentic. And I think it ties back to this discussion that is almost like the tale is old as time, where a lot of viewers and even smaller creators will automatically see someone with a smaller following as more trustworthy than someone with a bigger following, which in some cases might be true. I wouldn't argue with that. I've met some pretty crummy people, both with more subscribers than me and with less subscribers than me. But what I will say is that getting kicked off a PR list when you're already making enough money to buy the product yourself means nothing. It really doesn't mean that much. And get a brand disliking your pictures doesn't mean as much if you're already an established creator. But if you are a smaller creator and your sole goal is to make stuff that you can make money on, or your sole goal is to get free products, things are a little bit more volatile. And I have seen some, and again, I'm not saying everyone, and I'm definitely not saying that about anyone that I've mentioned in this video, but sometimes I see some questionable decisions being made by micro and nano influencers, accepting deals or wording things in a way where it's obvious that they're just hoping to still be able to receive products. And I think the main thing when we talk about this is that, oh, but people should get paid for their art. And I actually do agree with that to an extent. I do think that, like, if someone is making money out of your work, you should also get paid. This is something that I always told brands when they were asking me to work for exposure back when I was modeling. I'm like, are you making money of this? Then I should get money too. And ask yourself, are they making money? Then you should get paid too. But with that being said, like I said in the beginning, not every brand is as big or as successful as we think they might be. I think sometimes we overestimate how many products brands actually sell. And again, I do not have a big brand. I have a smaller brand than Lunar Beauty. I am a smaller creator than Manny MUA, but I still, from my knowledge, do have a bigger brand than some really, really small indie brands. And I can tell you right now, I do not see a correlation between my social media sharing a post from someone that does not equal sales. I have not seen any sales correlation between, oh, I share a post and then a couple of sales come in. I've never seen that with my brand. I have seen, though, when creators mention my brand on their social media, I have gotten sales. That's something I've noticed. So I don't know myself if, like, paying for someone to put stuff in my feed would make sense for my brand per se, because that's not necessarily what gets me sales with my brand. And I'm sure that there are other brands that this is different for, and maybe depending on how you're showcasing the products, for sure. And I'm sure there are UGC creators out there that are really good at what they're doing and taking high quality thing that actually persuades people to want to purchase something. But again, that comes down to, like, you have to be that good of a UGC creator for someone to want to pay for that. For me, I know when I talked to my social media girl, I told her I want to share my customers' pretty pictures that they take of my brushes as a thank you for shopping from my brand. And if someone were to say, I don't want to be shared by your brand, I would, of course, be totally fine. Like I said, we always ask before. But I don't think every brand necessarily makes money from the things that are going on, like, on their Instagram feed. Unless maybe you make the post shoppable, I guess. I don't know about that because I don't have my Instagram connected to a shop. But yeah, one thing to remember is that it is sometimes nice as a smaller creator to review smaller brands because it's easier to get their attention. It's probably easier to get on their PR list. If you are creating cute things with their stuff, it's easier to get reposted, but it will be harder to get paid from them because, like, I know indie brands that don't even have one sale per day. I don't think that they can pay you for their work because they have to put food on the table. So as a UGC creator, you're probably better off getting paid from brands that have a bigger budget, but are not necessarily hyped on social media. Like, they are selling, but they're not hyped on social media, so they do need some things created for them. Brands that are already super hyped, they already have people that want to be shared by the brand, so you might necessarily not have as good luck with that. And I don't necessarily say that that is my brand, but I can say that I definitely can't afford to be doing sponsored or UGC posts at this time. Maybe in the future. But if I did, I think I would be paying some of the people that has like been with me from the very beginning of my brand, that bought from me in the beginning and that have been supporting my brand. I would love to be able to give them a financial opportunity when I can, as a small business owner, than paying a random person to create some pictures with products that they have quite honestly never used before at all. That doesn't scream authentic to me. Can we talk about how cute my eyeshadow turned out? So cute. So what really are the conclusions? Again, I don't want to come off as a negative Nancy, but I feel like being a UGC creator has been painted in this light of like, this is going to be your easiest side gig ever. And I do think that that is the online courses talking and not necessarily the actual UGC creators doing the talking. Again, do not pay for a course online. There are definitely good courses online. Sure, there are good courses online, but you don't need a course on how to be a good UGC creator. I don't think you need to pay for a course like that. I'm gonna be honest with you. The main thing that you need to think about, which is the main thing that the people that have been asking my brand, not all of them, but a lot of them that are mailing my brand asking to do UGC for me, is that you are not competing with your reach. You are competing with the quality of your work. So if you are offering me something that is of lower quality than what I can produce myself or that I already have on my feed, but you're charging something where I'm like, I could just add a little bit more and hire a professional photographer, you are just not gonna make it. It is not that easy to be an online creator. It is really hard to be a successful creator, but I bet that it is equally as hard to be a successful UGC creator, because like, you have to produce some really high quality shit. And if you are a UGC creator and thinking that you are gonna do that while you grow your presence online to maybe be a creator further on in the future, I am here to be the negative Nancy. That's probably not gonna happen. You are probably gonna have a really, really hard time. Again, there are exceptions. You're gonna have a really hard time growing your online presence to actually gain a platform that you could do other kinds of content in the future, if that is your goal, if your full feed is made of stuff that looks like UGC content. You need to show your personality online, otherwise people don't know why they're gonna follow, or you have to be incredibly good at what you do and take some really high quality products, shots. Then of course you can grow a following as well. I'm just saying that if you do want to grow an online persona, if you do want to grow your platform, I would say stay away from producing your feed into such that it looks just like a feed of sponsored posts, even though they might not even be sponsored. You might be ruining your chances, because again, yes, it is really hard to grow your online presence, but it is not impossible. Regardless of what people are telling you, it is not impossible. I see it happen all the time. We just have to remember that the pool right now with people that want to do something online is just so much bigger. And I know we say that being a content creator is so uncertain and you never, like, it's literally one day you're in and the next you're out. But as a UGC creator, you're even more replaceable, because they didn't even hire you for your personality or for your reach. They could just find someone else that does the exact same pictures as you do, and all of a sudden you're not making any money. So I would say that that's even less reliable, unless you're the kind of person that does courses and people sign up for your courses. I'm just saying that that is definitely not as easy or attainable as people are painting it out to be. Again, Just speaking from the experience that I have. I might be wrong on some points, but I'm just here giving my opinions. But if you are looking for a side hustle and you're not looking to make maybe a lot of money, at least not initially, and you might not be wanting to be an online creator, you just want to take some pretty pictures. And if you're willing and ready to get a lot of no's coming your way, because I do think that when you sell yourself to brands, there's going to be a lot of no's coming your way. And when you're an online creator, you are a little bit more in charge yourself of the way that you're creating. Like if you're a YouTuber, you don't have to ever do a brand deal and you could still be making a career. But if that sounds like a good deal, I do think that being a UGC creator could be good for you. But be aware of the FTC guidelines. Don't break any laws, don't break any rules. There might be a fine coming people's way if they're not following the guidelines. And also don't believe people that are saying that it's going to be so much easier, because I don't think that that's going to be the case. Also, being a UGC creator doesn't really pay that good. Sometimes they might be paying you $100 for something that takes you 2 days to produce, and then maybe you won't get anything else for the rest of the month. It might not necessarily be as lucrative as some people are making it out to be. But just as these courses are selling you a dream that you could be super successful with little to no effort, little to no time put in, and just overnight, but just as selling you that dream is out of touch, it's no less out of touch than the dream we were sold in 2015 when everybody could be a successful creator. Not all of us are going to be the next Manny MUA, but it's okay. You can still make a career as a creator, and not everyone is going to be a successful UGC creator. I don't know if it is the future of the online community, but I definitely see a shift towards people that are just now coming on, creating things online, focusing on how they can make money quickly, overnight, and not maybe focusing so much on the community and the creative part and actually standing out. So no hate towards anyone that I talked about in this video. That's not what this video is about at all. I just wanted to have a discussion about UGC because I've been seeing it both as a creator. I've been talking to nano and micro influencers. I do get a lot of asks from people that know that I work as a creator, and they ask me, how can I make money quick? And I think my main question is going to be, everyone can be a creator, but not everyone is going to be that. And I think it's the same with UGC. Like, not everyone is going to be making any money with UGC. And I also want to like just raise that little red flag, just telling you that you might be sold into a dream where you're actually spending money instead of making money. And also because I do have my own brand, and I do get a lot of mails from creators that quite honestly never tried my brand and are not interested in trying my brand. They just want to do pictures with my products in exchange for me sending them my products and paying for them to use the products, when I could just take my pictures myself. So again, also, if you're starting to be a UGC creator, be realistic. Be realistic with what you're asking from brands and what you are offering the brands, because I see a lot of unrealistic mails coming towards not only me, but other brand owners that I talk to. I hope you're having a great day. If you like this video, please subscribe. I try to upload at least 3 videos a week. And like I said, in the description box will be all the things that I'm wearing on my face in case you're interested. I hope you're having a great day, and I will see you soon again. Bye!